Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the all-new Corvette Z06. First and foremost, though, a huge shout-out and thank you to the Jerry Signer Chevy here in Salt Lake City, Utah, for giving me some time with this Z06. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. Now we're actually going to start this review off with the key fobs. You guys can see you've got the Corvette logo there on the back, and then notice we've got our unlock function, our lock function, the remote start function. We have the opening here for the front, and then you've got the opening for the rear as well, and we'll start with the front here. So just like the standard C8 Corvette, you can see there's actually quite a bit of storage space here in the front, and that's one of the benefits of the Corvette going to a mid-engine design is you get storage space in different places, and yes, you got the little escape button if someone stuffs you in the front end. Now, because this particular Z06 is in a delivery bay, I'm actually going to have to use this side door here every so often so that you guys can kind of see the car from another viewpoint. And yeah, obviously I know, not going to be the best viewpoint, but the front end of this car just looks so crazy. And before we dive into the details of the front end, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Now, taking a closer look at the elements, look how sharp all of the lines are here on the hood. You've got the Corvette logo here front and center. Notice how it's all blacked out. And then you have the new C8 headlights, which I think look fantastic. Look at the daytime running light there with the turn signal. And then, I shouldn't say daytime running light, but the turn signal and then the daytime running lights. Really cool. And you can see the headlights super bright as well. And then look how everything's blacked out at the bottom here. You've got the cameras there on the front end, and notice here just how aggressive that whole front lip is. And putting it all together, I mean, this car in person just looks so aggressive. I mean, look at it, especially the paint color on this. I think it really works for the front end of the Z06. So coming around the side here, our tire and wheel setup in the front is 275, 30, 20, and then in the rear it is 345, 25, 21. Those are some massive rear tires for a production car. Now this particular one has these really cool wheels. I mean, look at it, and it actually says Corvette Racing there on the center cap. Now notice we've got the yellow brake caliper. This one also is equipped with carbon ceramic brakes, which also just kind of adds to the cool factor of this car. That's obviously going to help out with stopping power as well. And then you can see here with the Z06, notice how the fender is wider, and then you can see the bodywork here on the side as well, pretty aggressive. And then it's like the mirror cap blacked out, and then you guys can see here with the intake also really cool looking. And then we do have the Z06 logo here on the side, and again, a lot wider here in the rear. And then taking a full view here at the side portion of the car, you can definitely tell, again, a lot wider than the regular Corvette and definitely beautiful looking. Now, popping into the trunk area with the Z06, this is one of the slight, I guess, downsides with the new Z06 is you're not going to have as much storage space here in the rear compared to the C7, but again, you have that front trunk. And then this being the convertible kind of also slightly limits things a little bit, but it's still really practical back here. Now, being the convertible, we don't exactly have a cool viewpoint of the engine, but we can still talk about the engine. So it is a naturally aspirated 5.5 liter V8 that goes through an 8-speed dual clutch automatic transmission, and I do need to mention it's a flat plane crank V8. So what that means is that first off, fuel economy not going to be the best, 12 around town, 21 on the highway, but power outputs are crazy. 670 horsepower at 8,400 RPMs, and then 460 pound-feet of torque at 6,300 RPMs. And that's the big benefit of going flat plane crank. You get a higher red line and a lot more horsepower. And then you guys can see here with the spoiler on the back end, definitely aggressive looking. And then again, we've got another blacked out Corvette logo. And then you can kind of see into the engine right there. And then popping down below, got the normal C8 taillights and turn signal, which is pretty cool looking. And then look at like all of the venting here on the back. It's all really aggressive. And then of course we have the exhaust tips here in the center, which I think looks a whole lot better compared to the standard C8 with them on either side. This, I don't know, it's what Corvette should be, right? But yeah, I mean, look how wide this is with the rear end. And you can actually kind of see some C7 here with the back end, because again, you have those exhaust tips there in the center. Now this is a 3LZ, so this has like the fully loaded interior, and look at like the beautiful leather trim here with the contrasted stitching. And you can see the stitching down below that. And then we've got the speaker here for the Bose sound system. It's the Performance series. And above that, we got blind spot monitoring in the mirrors, memory seat functionality, and then look at the carbon fiber trim here. We've got all of our window controls. Notice they're automatic. And then again, this is the convertible, so you can take the top off. I'll show that in just a little bit. And then you guys can see here to open up the door, and then you got your door lock and unlock function. And then you guys can see there for the front trunk, and then for the rear trunk to open those up. And then look at all the stitching, like it's even at the bottom portion here of the door panel, so it all looks really high quality. Now, sorry about the lighting in this shot, but anyways, you guys can see really nice stitching here on the seats, and notice how they're perforated all down the center portion. And then we do have our power adjustments on the side, and we got this cool Z06 plaque here. Now this is actually pretty interesting. So you guys can see the gross vehicle weight rating, 4277. And then to find the actual weight of the vehicle, you have to take the payload, subtract it. So that means this thing weighs about 3,800 pounds. Obviously you have passengers, you're gonna be like closer to 4,000 pounds once you add those in, right? We've got our power adjustment here on the steering wheel, and then you guys can see the controls for the heads-up display, and then look at more of the leather trim right there, and then down below with the parking brake, and then you can see the pedal layout here at the bottom. So we're just going to start this for a second so we can get the top down, and I think you guys will enjoy the startup sound. Jeez! So now you can see with the top down, the convertible just, again, looks so cool. And obviously that's gonna give you a fun, driving experience. And look at the portions here behind the seats. That definitely adds to the cool aesthetic. And you actually have this little window right here you can roll up and down. I'll show that in just a little bit. But that obviously would give you access to the engine with the top up. But with the top down, it'll help with kind of like airflow and everything, so it's less, buffety inside the car. Now taking a look at the steering wheel here, you can see the carbon fiber trim here at the top and at the bottom. Obviously it has that like square design, it says Z06, which is pretty cool. And they actually have carbon fiber paddle shifters as well there on the back. And then notice it has practical stuff like cruise control. It's got a heated steering wheel button on the steering wheel, your volume controls. Really nice stitching here as well with the Corvette logo. And then notice we have like our light stock right there. And then you guys can see we also have a windshield wiper stock as well. Now to view all the stuff here in the center, we have the car started, but obviously since I'm inside, I don't have the car running for a super long time, so we'll go over that in just a little bit, but we are gonna go over the infotainment system because we can actually have this while the car is off. And you guys can see first off, we've got this cool 360 camera system, and this is one of the things that is like a game changer here with the new Corvette, because again, you've got like supercar mid-engine design, but then you also have this camera system that makes it so it's practical to actually daily drive, because you don't have to worry about like scraping the front end and all that kind of stuff, because well, you've got a camera system that helps you see every single angle on the car while you're parking it and all that. And then as for the rest of the infotainment system, it's just Chevy's infotainment system that you guys know I'm a huge fan of because it responds really well. It has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and it's got a little shortcut bar here at the bottom. Now we have the C8 gear selector set up here, which is a bunch of buttons and pull tabs, which I don't know, I definitely think that feels pretty cool. And then we have our stability control button, which all I'm going to say is with great power comes great responsibility. You want to be careful when you got 670 horsepower if you're going to, press that button or not. Front end lift, which also adds to the practicality. That's just a pop on the front camera like a shortcut button. Again, another cool thing that GM did. This is your drive mode select, actually. It's just this little dial that you twist from side to side. And then also notice the manual function. And then tons of carbon fiber trim here in this area. I think it looks really cool. And then we have the C8 control stack here with the dual zone climate controls, heated and cooled seats here for the driver and the passenger. It's all kind of in this giant line here in the center. And then also to mention, like, look at the material use on the dash here. Like, you really do feel like you're in a high-end luxury car with this interior. And then of course we have a wireless phone charging pad down below. Now this is a 70th anniversary edition, so you got the little plaque there in the center. And then it also has the thing on the window as well, right there, that you can also see. And yeah, even that, you got nice materials everywhere. In places that you're not really gonna look, they still make sure that the material use is great. And then something else that I want to mention is you can see even the sun visors, really nice material use here. And again, sometimes in like convertibles like this, they might kind of cheap out on certain parts, but they didn't do that in the C8 Z06, which I'm really impressed with. Okay, well now we got to do this again so we can get the top up. Okay, well, before I make this showroom floor really smelly, here is the digital gauge cluster here. Notice when I press the Z button there, it goes into the Z mode, which is really cool. But again, we got a bunch of different drive modes here. We have like a sport mode. You guys can see we've got a track mode as well. And notice that the whole gauge cluster will transform. Now, this being brand new, obviously you have the break-in period, so that's why the red line doesn't go to the, official red line. Once you have like, I think 500 or 1,000 miles, it's 500 miles actually, then the red line will increase to the total red line. But, I mean, you have modes for literally everything, which is cool. Even a weather mode, look at that! You even have a weather mode. And when you go into like the track mode, it actually opens up the valves with the exhaust, so it makes it a lot louder. You guys can probably hear it in the background. Like, I can barely hear myself think because of how loud this car is. This thing sounds so amazing. But yeah, really cool gauge cluster there. And then also, we have a heads-up display as well, which also looks cool. And then look at this! We got the rear view camera mirror on top of that. I know this was rushed, but still, I'm so glad I got to see this thing in person. And then finally, here is the window sticker for this Z06. You guys can see with the warranty, we actually have a 3-year 36,000 mile basic warranty and then a 5-year 60,000 mile on the powertrain. So the warranty is identical to like every other gas-powered Chevy, which is really cool. Now, your base MSRP on this one, because again, it's a convertible 3LZ, is $125,850. Now, look how expensive those carbon ceramic brakes are. They're $8,500, and the carbon fiber interior, $5,000. Obviously, it's got the gas guzzler tax, because not the most economical on the planet, which it's not why you buy this car, right? And anyways, after all options, you can see the total MSRP there, $151,520. And, well, let's sum things up. So first off, I'm really grateful for the Jerry Signer Chevy here in Salt Lake City, Utah for just letting me like randomly film this Z06. Like, this was not planned at all today. Like, I came up here to film a Cadillac and then boom, they're like, hey, you want to film a Z06? And I'm like, sure. And so obviously this video isn't like up to normal Ben Hardy standards, but hopefully you guys at least like to see a full production Z06 and get somewhat of a review. Now, I will be having like a more full review in the future. I don't know exactly when this is going to happen, but Chevy will most likely send out a Z06 as a press car to Utah for me to have for a week to test out. Now, obviously they're not going to do that in the winter time because it's like a almost 700 horsepower car with rear-wheel drive and summer performance tires, but maybe sometime in the spring or summer this year, maybe we'll see a Z06 press car, and that'll definitely be a ton of fun. But seeing this in person, it looks so good. Even without the Z07 package, it's such a beautiful looking car. The convertible is really cool because you get that practicality of being able to just automatically fold the top, whereas if you get the standard Z06, you obviously have to remove the top with your hands and everything, which, no big deal. This just, I don't know, it kind of more fun. And also the fact you can roll down that window so you can get like tons of access to the exhaust is also really exciting. And so, I know that this makes me just like every other YouTuber on the planet at this point, but like it just has to be said, this is by far the coolest performance car of the 2023 model year. And, frankly, I think of the last decade, because even though it's over $100,000, for the performance that this car offers, it's such a bargain. I mean, you have to, like, if you want to get performance that's anywhere close to this car with any other manufacturer, you have to spend, well over $200,000, if not $300,000 at this point. And so being able to get that at a base price of $125,000 is absolutely insane. So Chevy knocked it out of the park. Anyone who gets a Z06 is incredibly lucky. They're absolutely going to love the car. And so, yeah, again, huge shout out to the Jerry Signer Chevy here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Link to their inventory in the description down below. I really appreciate the team for getting me some time with this car. I'll see ya.